This might be one of the craziest lists of movies on Netflix. We're going to be talking about the steamiest movies on the platform, movies with compelling stories and some pretty crazy erotic scenes that give the term R-rated a new meaning, from works of fiction to movies that are based on true life stories with a steamy undertone. These are the top 10 steamiest movies on Netflix. Alright, starting with a movie that's more like a series if I'm being honest, we have Lust Stories. It's an anthology series that's played by Indian actors. It centers on a group of women seemingly distant from each other and that are also mostly different from each other as well. Yet, they all have one thing in common. They're all heavily centered on exploring their sexuality and engaging in some intense debauchery. Lust Stories' explicit scenes are packed and steamy, and the movie does its best to go into details of each woman's story, showcasing the depths of their desires. The Indian film is exactly as the name implies. It is a collection of stories about a group of women who are extremely lustful and are willing to go to great lengths to satisfy that lust, especially because they're a part of a culture that's heavily fixated on suppressing this instinct that they have. The movie goes hard in portraying these themes in a rather comedic fashion, which adds to its attractiveness. Next up is Oh Ramona. Now, when I watched this movie a couple of years ago, I was like, there's no way a girl can be that crazy. Oh Ramona is a Romanian film that's based on the comedic novel called Suck It, Ramona, and it tells the story of Andre, a shy, awkward teenager who is slowly going into adulthood. But the only problem that he has is that he is in love with the most popular girl in school, Ramona. Now, he ends up rejecting her advances when she tries to sleep with him, and this basically turns his life upside down. Along the way, he meets another beautiful girl named Ramona, and they end up hitting it off. But somehow Ramona ends up back in the picture, so now Andre has to navigate being in love with two women at once, and one of them is bat rap crazy. It all culminates in a series of unfortunate events, some rather comedic steamy scenes, and in all sincerity, a little bit of a dissatisfying conclusion, but because of all the things that happened up until the ending, this makes it on the list. And up next, what do you get when you combine office drama and a really passionate erotic relationship? You get Fair Play, starring Phoebe Dynevor and Alden Ehrenreich, playing the roles of Emily and Luke, who are two employees working in a hedge fund company. But unknown to their co-workers, they're both in a secret relationship, and it's so serious that they've even gotten engaged. But things take a dramatic turn for the worse when Emily gets promoted at work, and this ends up making Luke extremely jealous of her. And so a love-hate relationship is born, where one partner is unwilling to be happy for the other's success, thereby putting stress on their relationship as well as their sex lives. The passionate fights that these two have are incredible, and it all leads to some heavily rad steamy scenes that result in someone getting physically and emotionally injured. It's a crazy story, I'm not gonna lie, one that definitely highlights just how dangerous office relationships can be. But don't worry, I'm not gonna spoil it for you any further. Also, before I go on, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this video so far. Hit that notification bell already so that you're in the loop when we put out new videos about your favorite streaming platforms. Now next, Happy Ending tells the story of a couple, Mink and Luna, a very close couple who are celebrating their anniversary. But then it's revealed that Luna has been faking her orgasms after all the times that they've been together. And my man Mink is like, wait, what? But Luna gets a bright idea that she and Mink are going to try something new to spice up their sex life. So she proposes a threesome with Eve, a climate activist. But after their time together, Luna realizes that she no longer enjoys her time with Mink, and that she would rather be with Eve because that's where she gets the most of her satisfaction. And this ends up really affecting their relationship in more ways than one. The movie is in Dutch and filmed in the Netherlands and Belgium, and the explicit scenes as well as the nudity are pretty graphic, so keep that in mind. Alright, and for this next one, you know that there are a lot of movies that make me question the sanity of the movie makers. And ladies and gentlemen, 365 Days and its sequel, 365 Days This Day, are movies that really left me with those kinds of questions. The overarching plot is that a recovering boss of an Italian mafia mob, Massimo, kidnaps a lady named Laura on her vacation in Italy while she's struggling with her own relationship. And guess what? He gives her 365 days or 1 year to fall in love with her. I mean, the lengths that this dude went to win this lady's affection is just straight up diabolical. I am talking about chaining her up, making her watch as he's being pleasured by another lady. I mean, the dynamic between Laura and Massimo is absolutely toxic to say the least. And boy, are their steamy times together quite the sight. The sequel, 365 Days This Day, just continues in the same vein, and things get a little bit more tragic for the two as even more friends and enemies get involved in their relationship, including characters that I honestly never saw coming, leaving us with uncertainties as to what's going to happen to the couple. Next up, we have Lady Chatterley's Lover. Now, this is a movie that doesn't pull its punches in the slightest when it comes to its explicit nature. This movie was based on on the novel of the same name by D.H. Lawrence, and it was released in 1928 and later banned in 1929 because of its level of obscenity. So that should tell you the kind of movie that this is going to be. The movie is centered on Connie, a baronet who married a wealthy man who fought in World War I and had an accident that left him impotent. This meant that her husband would require constant care, and it also meant that she would not be getting any real form of intimacy, which left her very unhappy. So in her state of being heavily deprived and physically starved, she falls in love with her groundskeeper Oliver. And this begins a tirade of a very passionate and physical affair unlike any that I've ever seen. Like I said, this movie does not pull its punches. The love affair between Connie and Oliver ends up causing a lot of trouble for them, as well as placing serious constraints on Connie's already shaky marriage. But still, it all culminates in a wholesome ending that really accentuates just how deep love can go. And in Through My Window, there's nothing I love more than forbidden love, and this Spanish film really ups the ante what the romance teenage love can offer. So this girl's name is Raquel, and she's a shy teenager who is unable to tell her story in class, but she narrates her love affair with a young and handsome gentleman named Aries, the son and heir to a wealthy businessman and a rich family. Now Raquel is their next door neighbor, and for a while now she has been secretly in love with Aries, and out of nowhere Aries hacks into Raquel's Wi-Fi, and this ends up prompting them to have a relationship in rather steamy circumstances. But the problem is Aries' family doesn't approve of this relationship with Raquel, and they pretty much want to control his life. So this leads to dire circumstances for the two lovebirds, as well as some unfortunate events that thrust the two into tragedy. But don't worry, it kind of has a happy ending. It's a great film with so many steamy scenes that it's almost unnecessary, but overall, I enjoyed watching it, so I had tipped to the stars for such a stellar performance. Now next, this movie is probably the most sickening display of revenge that I've ever seen. Burn & Betrayal is definitely up there as one of the most steamy movies on Netflix. This is the story of Babi, a beautiful Spanish lady who is happily engaged until she sees her fiance Chao having coital relations with another woman at her bachelorette party, and this shatters her, but it also unleashes a sexual awakening within her, setting her on a path to get revenge on her fiance by betting as many men as she can find. So she gives herself a makeover, buys a motorcycle for some reason, and proceeds to live a very promiscuous lifestyle. As you can imagine, this leads to some really intense, explicit scenes, as her quest for revenge has her bite off more than she can chew and uncovers even more secrets about her fiance's source of income, which gives the movie a really dramatic turn. But I won't spoil it all for you, just know that the Burn & Betrayal is as captivating as it is steamy. And next, if you thought that all the movies that we've discussed so far have been edgy and borderline crazy, then wait till you see Milf. This 2018 movie is a sex comedy directed by Axel Lafont, and it focuses on three women in their 40s, Cecile, Sonia, and Elise, who take a trip to the French Riviera for a vacation with the hopes of selling the vacation home of their friend. But things get interesting when they encounter three young, dashing men who are in their 20s and immediately have a thing for the older women. So the women end up spending their entire vacation with these boys, and they end up having a lot of coital situations. Milf is funny as it is steamy, and it really highlights the intricacies of intergenerational relationships, as well as the need for growth in a woman's life and just how far women can go to satisfy themselves. At the core of it all, Milf felt a lot like a coming-of-age movie, even though it's centered around women going close to their middle ages. And this last one on this list might be a little bit controversial here. In my opinion, this is one of the most steamy movies on Netflix. It just doesn't get higher than Madame Claude, and the fact that it's based on a true life story is probably what's most interesting about it. The plot is all about Madame Claude, an influential woman who runs one of the biggest brothels in Paris, and how she uses her brothel to gain influence over politicians and other dignitaries in the city. But then she meets another woman who threatens her business, and this flips her world upside down. The movie has been criticized for its pacing, a little lack of direction, with a 70% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I will personally agree with that. The movie isn't great for the plot, but in my personal opinion, the movie is pretty great as it pertains to steamy movies, with some decent performances. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a movie that doesn't hold back when it comes to its erotic scenes. It's probably some of the most graphic that you will see on Netflix, so tread carefully. Well, that's it for our list of the most steamy movies on Netflix. Let me know what you think about the movies in the comments below, and which one of these movies have you personally seen and what you thought about them. Be sure to check out our extensive list of movies from your favorite streaming platforms, and don't forget to leave a like on this video. Thanks so much again for watching Cinema Cascade.